Hello again, everyone. Another message from a PayPal contribution. Remember, the PayPal link is in the description box below. So if you want your story read on the channel, just make a donation to that link and I will get to it as soon as possible. I'll try to be as brief as possible because I know you have other letters to read. I am 44 years old and I have been a psychiatric nurse for 6 years. In fact, I love what I do and I'm good at it, which is why the relationship that ended 5 months ago is still consuming much of my mind. It's useless when people say move and get over it. If I could do that right this minute, I would, but I need to understand, and I, of course, know that I am not going to get any understanding or explanation from him. I came to the conclusion about a month ago that he's a sociopath. One of the things that makes this really crazy is that I kind of knew while I was with him that that he was a narcissist. I know that it's probably very easy to judge me considering what I do for a living and considering that, well, if I knew that, I got what I deserve. And in some ways, that's probably true. However, bear with me because sometimes the things are not always as they appear. You have to get past to like, I knew it, I got what I deserved. Whether you knew it or suspected it or not, you still had no ability to process it yet, regardless of you being a psychiatric nurse or not. The hardest thing to do is to apply those principles to yourself. That's why doctors don't treat themselves. That's why lawyers don't defend themselves, for the same reason. Okay, because when you're emotionally involved, even though you're trained in these aspects of psychology, you don't see it. So don't ever say you deserved it because you should have known better. I didn't know to what degree on the spectrum of narcissism he was. Obviously, everyone in society has tendencies towards any of the personality disorders, and at times, on and off throughout life, we all go through periods where we display some of those tendencies. So, knowing that because of the field I'm in, I didn't want to be quick to write him off or label him. He was covert. He mirrored what I wanted to see. He overwhelmed me with affection and attention. It was almost like a drug. I got high from the intense feelings he caused. In the beginning, those intense feelings were good ones, but later things changed. The changes were so subtle I could never put my finger on anything. I found myself feeling sick inside and almost dead inside, like somebody was chipping away at my soul, but at the time I did not know that. I just knew something was off. He would go into rages. He was never physically abusive, but the emotional and verbal abuse was ridiculous, and the emotional scars he left are many. There was never a way to de-escalate him, no matter what I did. That's a problem. When a narc is spiraling and they want to have that narc rage, especially a planned narc rage in order to scare you into giving them what they want or acting the way they want, you trying to de-escalate them is only going to escalate them more because that's what they want. They want the fight. They want it because the end result of the fight is usually you capitulating to them and giving them what they want, which is what they're after. There was never any way to de-escalate them no matter what I did. And most often I would take full responsibility even though I knew I wasn't responsible for half of what he blamed me for. I did that just so he would calm down, and many times he didn't calm down. It would almost be like I had to endure that for about a week or so. That was my punishment for whatever it was that pissed him off. It was your punishment, and it was his way to further his control over you because if he wanted to make sure he was getting his point across, by first the abuse and then probably the ignoring, okay, and withholding emotion. And so you will, when he's ready to talk to you or when he feels you've been punished enough, that you will go along with whatever he tells you. Within the 2 years that we were together, he had broken up with me 4 times, and always for another woman that came along. He's quite charming and charismatic, and he can talk anybody into falling in love with him. He's that good. I will admit that other women are much smarter than me in the sense that they didn't give him second chances and they walked away and recognized something was not right. I, on the other hand, took him back each and every time. I know it's easy to judge me, and people that listen to this letter may think I'm an idiot, but maybe I am. But in my mind, I've always looked at it, especially because I'm a nurse and do care for other people. I looked at it like if that was me and I was in his shoes, wouldn't I want a second chance? Narcissists don't deserve second chances. That's the thing you need to understand. Because a narcissist isn't necessarily sick, they know what they're doing. Their tactics are in order to gain control of you. Again, this isn't bipolar disorder. This isn't a psychological, where somebody's chemically imbalanced or schizophrenic. This is something that is planned, that is calculated, that is on purpose. Okay? You don't deserve a second chance for that. Because the only thing that teaches a narcissist is no contact, is breaking all contact and never look back. Never look back. They will never learn their lesson with you because they are always going to fall back to like, well, doesn't matter. She came back. She came back. She came back. So in their mind, they're going to tell them whatever they did worked. You can never go back with a narcissist. Never. That obviously is what contributed to my demise. I did not set up boundaries every time we got back together, such as we had to go to therapy, and we did not go to therapy for about 3 months. And that was a sign to me that he couldn't be that bad off if he was willing to go to therapy. And they did go to therapy for about 3 months. Well, yeah, because he'll use it as the opportunity, like, let me see if I could trick the therapist. It gives him the opportunity to kind of grandstand and use his narcissistic tactics on the therapist to try to set you up as the bad guy, how it's not his fault. It's really your fault. On a side note, I spent 10 years in therapy prior to this relationship because I wanted to work on issues I struggled with. No major issues, but nonetheless, I figured knowing myself was the best thing I could do. I finished therapy and learned a lot, so it does shock me that I entered into this relationship and that I stayed. We got engaged a year ago. We were living together, and I thought getting engaged must mean he was serious about things. Then last August, he did what he always does. He created a situation out of nothing that slowly became a fight, and that slowly led to him screaming and yelling at me, calling me names, telling me how nuts I am, and how I need to be in a hospital. The level of verbal attacks was horrible. He accused me of being like all the other women he had before me. On and on it would go. He never takes responsibility for anything unless it serves a purpose for him. He almost prides himself on being so victimized by life and by women. Yet I many times thought it was the other way around. He's not victimized by women. This is his act. This is how he gets women. Look at me, I'm the poor victim. I'm always been victimized, down on luck and love and all that. This is his game. This is his act. This is how he gets women. That's all it is. It's just another tactic of his. I guarantee you there was another woman there. Because I remember, I still read these cold, so I don't know what the next line is. I guarantee you there's probably another woman. Okay, so he needs to create a fight, create drama, go back to this friggin' girl, she's out of her mind. And this is what he does. This is what he does. But the other women seem to clue in on it after a little while, and that's why he keeps coming back. He would do everything possible to instigate, and even went as far to tell me he liked to instigate. My father used to say that he liked to instigate. So the drama and chaos would continue, and then he was justified wanting to end the relationship. Like last October, I moved out. Before I moved out, he was already texting another woman with me there, and I don't mean to laugh, but I knew what he was doing. I knew it. He didn't even have enough class or decency to wait until I moved out. After I moved, I was laid off at work and had no income for 2 months. All my furniture, everything I owned was at his house. I had only just moved a few things over to my new place. He stonewalled me. Every time there were plans in place for me to come and get more of my things, he would suddenly let me know that it wasn't a good day and that he wasn't home. One of the times that he wouldn't let me come over to get my stuff, his reason was because he called to tell me that I'd better stop sending emails to his girlfriend. I had no idea who his girlfriend was. I had no way of knowing anything about her, let alone her email. Not to mention the fact that that's completely out of character for me. Well, he's probably seeing two different women, and it might have been the other girl, and he's blaming it on you, oh, this crazy bitch. He's probably seeing two women at the same time again. But he called and told me he was furious with me and I was going to ruin another relationship for him, and how dare I email her, and because of that, he stood in the way of me getting my stuff and said, guess now all your stuff is going in the trash. When I tried to go through the police, that didn't work either because he was never home or never answered the door or phone. He moved 3 weeks ago out of state and took the new woman with him and bought a new house, and instead of giving me money or my things back, he sold everything he could, gave the rest away, and took it to Goodwill. I even asked if he'd tell me after he dropped the stuff at Goodwill so I could at least have the opportunity to buy some of it back, and he wouldn't do it. That was the worst of all for me because everything I had worked hard for was gone, and yet it wasn't like he kept it. He just didn't want me to have it. Well, there's always going to be punishment, and they're always going to give you that fuck you out the door and figure out what's the best way to punish you and keep you as low as possible. For months, he complained about me getting my stuff out of his house, yet he would never follow through any time for me to come get it. I asked him several times to drop it off because he had the means to do that, but he never would. It's the one thing to dump your fiance for another woman again, but then not even to give her her stuff back and everything told she owned. Well, that was like throwing salt in an open wound. It's dark. I missed or ignored a ton of red flags. I know this, and I am responsible for a lot of my own pain. I was foolish to keep giving him chances. There are many lessons I can learn from this, and I'm in the process of that now. My question is this. Since these people don't feel bad for their behavior, how does one reconcile that not even karma will pay their viciousness back? I find the hardest part of letting go is that I want revenge. I obviously can never get revenge, and it's not even in me to do that, but the anger I have is so great some days. There is no way to even get back at people that are like this because of the very nature of their disorder. So I wondered, how is it that people move past it knowing that you had so much taken from you emotionally and maybe even materialistically, and now you just have to let it go and move on, and there's never any consequences that they ever suffer? Thanks for taking the time to read this. Sincerely, Babe. I understand the need for revenge. I understand the need, the emptiness and the need to get back. But you're discounting one major thing about this guy and his history and his whole story. He left you 4 times for another woman. Why do you think number 5 is going to work out any better? And what has he done every time he's left? He's come crawling back. He's come crawling back to you. So I don't know why you would think that it would be any different this time. It's not. Your revenge is in the future. When he comes crawling back to you after the 5th time fails, and you can slam the door in his face and say, you sold all my stuff, but yet you can't have me, not now, not ever again. That's your revenge. Your revenge is in the future. Your revenge is for when this all blows up in his face and he comes crawling back again, you can finally say, right here, pal. So I hope this helps. Again, if you enjoyed this video, everybody please leave your comments in the description box below. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks again for watching. And again, if you want a video yourself made, of your own made, the PayPal link is in the description box below. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again shortly. Bye.